Ladies and gentlemen, the day is finally here. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are out. Welcome back to the series where I take a look at a game for the first hour or so, depending on how much it grabs me, and then I give you guys my very early impressions on it. And this is an interesting one because typically on the way up to a Pokemon release, there is some sort of controversy that explodes. This time, though, it happened as soon as reviews went live, and many people, of course, saw the performance issues on the game, not necessarily the game itself. So we're going to take a look at this here today. I do need to do the update, though, to at least keep the game somewhat stable. So we're going to start with today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Factor. Heading into the holiday season, things are getting pretty busy. With our schedules getting packed, Factor can make it much easier when it comes to preparing and shopping for our meals. Factor delivers fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep. The meals come together fast and can be prepared in a matter of minutes, so you can get on with your day while sticking to your nutritional goals. Factor now offers 34 meals per week with over 36 add-on options like smoothies. They also offer special occasion meals with Gourmet Plus for a nice, fast upscale option. You can change up your order every week with plans from 4 to 18 meals per week, or pause and reschedule them at any time. I like the convenience of being able to take a meal on the go and have it ready to eat in a few minutes using just the microwave, and cutting down on the trips to the grocery store is certainly a plus. Head to go.factor75.com/SpawnWave60 and use code SpawnWave60 to get 60% off your first Factor box. That's go.factor75.com/SpawnWave60 and use code SpawnWave60 to get 60% off your first Factor box. Thanks to Factor for sponsoring today's video. Well, I'm immediately thrown into, well, I guess just the character creation screen. So we'll just start there. What's your name? We'll go with Spawn. I will point out that it looks like they have quite a few customization options here when it comes to your character and sort of their face, their eyes, their mouth. So there are at least customization options. I will admit, this feels like a bit of a longer opening for a Pokemon game, considering we've seen cutscenes, we watched the legendary Pokemon kind of fly around a bit and seemingly go into the water, and now I think we're gonna be able to control the main character and run around. First impressions immediately on the visuals. Now, I'm inside, obviously, so it's gonna be a little different when we get out there. I mean, they're not bad. You have the curtains moving and stuff. There are small details there. The camera does feel a little iffy, I'll say that. There's the Switch. Typically, you have the system of that generation that's just in your house, and it dates back to, like, the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo, those different things. So let's get moving. Wow, this is a pretty big house. Like, this doesn't seem like a small cottage. I mean, look at the counter space here, the large island. That's a pretty nice house they have here. Still no voice acting in Pokemon games, and I don't know if that's a timing issue where they don't have enough time to record all the lines or what, but it's definitely becoming more and more of an omission, one that's much more noticeable, I should say, as we are now in the 2022, soon to be 2023, and it's kind of become more and more of a expectation for these larger games. Look at the living room here. You know, that right there might be an 80-inch TV. It's just to scale, it looks tiny. Not a fan of the camera inside. I keep running into walls. Like, I can only go so far left, so far right before you just crash into something, and it doesn't let you rotate much. So you feel very confined, at least in the house so far, just trying to look around. Look at that. I'm finally outside. All right, first impression, visuals. We don't really see a lot of anti-aliasing on most Switch titles, so it's not shocking to see jagged edges around everything, but I mean, in the background there's actually quite a bit going on, and we get to pick our first Pokemon. You know, I don't really understand why you have to pick just one. They just threw them down in front of you. Then the person walks away. Like, whatever. Hey, when you get a chance, pick one, and just whenever you can. Come find me, you know. If you can bring them, great. Otherwise, I'll send someone to pick them up. It just seems so nonchalant. We're just sort of walking along here. I mean, visually, yeah, I mean, it's not great. You can see, obviously, a lot of the geometry on the trees, and I would say it's serviceable. Although I will admit, with the visuals here paired with some of the finally we can run. With some of the frame rate issues and performance, that part doesn't really match up to me. Okay, I can finally pick a Pokemon. That is a bit more drawn out than I was expecting to get to this point after they first showed the Pokemon. Anyway, pick and Fuecoco. I've actually done a pretty good job staying away from the different spoilers for what these Pokemon eventually evolve into. I saw the second form for Fuecoco, but I didn't see the third form for any of these Pokemon here. So I'm just going off the idea of a fire crocodile Pokemon. Who knows? Maybe Quaxley actually turns into something, I don't know, interesting. So I press Y. We have the map. They'll tell you where you're supposed to be going. But now zooming out. This looks like a pretty big world for the most part that we're going to be running around in at some point. So I'll at least give them credit. They were pretty ambitious with this. I do think it's funny that in every game, when you get a Pokemon for the first time and then the other person picks one, your immediate thought is to have these two Pokemon duke it out until one of them faints on the floor. That said, Fuecoco can light stuff on fire. That was pretty awesome. So I like this. You can just press ZR and you can throw your Pokemon out. So there's Fuecoco. He's just kind of hanging out. So that's kind of cool. It sort of reminds me a bit of Legends Arceus. They sort of pulled it from that. Then you press ZR again, and you can put him back in the Pokeball. All right, so we have Lechonk lined up right here. Let's see how capturing works in this game. I most recently had played Legends Arceus, and I did some Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl as well, but that was before Arceus. It just got pretty used to the idea of being able to throw Pokeballs when you were near a Pokemon. Doesn't look like that's the case with this one. It seems like they kind of went back to the idea of you essentially going into battle with these different wild Pokemon, knocking their health down, of course, and then capturing them. So a bit more of the traditional style for that one. I think I still just prefer running around and capturing a bunch of Pokemon by just throwing Pokeballs in real time. Although Arceus was set up more so with the thought of you capturing 20, 30 some odd Pokemon in one run. I don't think that's going to be the case here. I do like the look of the new Pokedex where you basically just have bookshelves, it looks like, and you can pick one and see the different Pokemon that you're looking into here. You can see details about it. They also have something set up for Habitat where I guess they show you the map of where the Pokemon is or has been found. So, again, for capturing Pokemon and trying to build up your Pokedex, I at least like the way they have this set up. Oh, look, we found the legendary Pokemon, or the cover Pokemon here that's going to turn into a bike for me. Again, it's interesting to have that happen so early in the game, and it also be a very key part of the game to help you get around the open world here, and that's less than an hour in. We'll come across, and apparently they're just going to give them the sandwich that their mom made. It appears to be fine now. It's also going into this cave and seems to be friendly with your character now. So all it really took was a sandwich to befriend the legendary cover Pokemon. I don't know. Did anyone ever think to do that? Because I feel like they could have avoided a lot with Mewtwo back in the day. So it appears that the Houndoom here, who's level 40 by the way, has been the problem this whole time, right? And it seems like Houndoom's just going to go ahead and just annihilate Fuecoco. And I assume this other Pokemon, the large Pokemon I've been following, is going to kind of step in here and take care of business. So there are a bunch of pups that showed up too, and then Pokemon just picked you up and they're out of the cave just like that. Gotta admit, kind of anticlimactic. I sort of thought you were going to battle the level 40 Houndoom, but I guess that works too. So that was Miraidon. I just had to make sure I had the name correct here for that. Also, TMs are one use only now. I remember a long time ago they were one use. Then they went to where you just used them however much you want. Now they're back to one use again. So that's an interesting change, or I guess them reverting back to how it was originally done. I finally got to the town that the school is in, so you have to go through the big doors at the front gate, and it's kind of like a mini mall almost in here. They have restaurants and places to buy seemingly accessories and other items, things like that. And this is where you definitely notice a lot of the half animations that they do. Further away you get from people, they essentially render their animations at half and even quarter speed or frames. It's pretty noticeable because they have to get very, very close to you before they start going at full speed or normal speed. And just swinging the camera around here is it's rough. It is. There's a lot of judder and stuttering that's going on, especially when you first get in here, and it seems like it's trying to like load these different aspects in, which, by the way, I also noticed that the different shops or restaurants, I guess they decided to remove interiors, and what they do now is if you walk into one that, well, actually works, what it does is just goes to a menu. So you just have kind of those storefronts, and that's it. So you go in here, and then there's just a menu of different things to buy, which I guess isn't a huge deal, only because they'd be menus anyway, but they would have, I guess, a bit more personality or a bit more immersion if you walked in and it's a shop and they have stuff on the shelves and all this. I kind of view that as a way for them to kind of cut corners, yes, but sort of speed along and decide what they can and can't put into the game with the amount of time they have. All right, I got the orb that allows me to terrestrialize my Pokemon, and apparently there's a button in battle that I can do. So let's try that out. Oh, it's R. All right, so we'll press that, and then we'll just use Ember. Oh, wow. Fuecoco has a lot going on. He's like a little chandelier going on in his head with a bunch of candles and fire. I do like the effect. I think it looks pretty good for the most part. That's the thing I really haven't had any issue with while we're talking about the environments and the frame rate and animation. All that. The Pokemon themselves, they look pretty good, I think. And with the effect where they kind of get this crystallized effect, I think that actually looks pretty good here. Oh no. What is going on in school? Why do the kids move like that? Wow, that is really noticeable. It's weird because usually the animations at like that speed would be far away from you. That is very close. I mean, that scene is directly next to the kid that's in focus there. I mean, I know it's a cutscene, but it's so noticeable. This is the aspect that I'm most interested in. It has to do with the gyms that are located around Paldea, and I'm really curious as to the order of them. Like, I can just go to anyone I want, but I'm wondering if they try to tell you which one is the best one to start with, or you just kind of discover it for yourself, because it seems like you could run into a gym that has like level 40 Pokemon, and then you could run into one that has level 10 or 15 Pokemon. But that's kind of the thing I wanted to go do as soon as possible, get through all the gyms. Well, at least they explain why Miraidon didn't just start fighting that Houndoom. Apparently it's been weakened and can't use it in battle right now. Maybe towards the end of the game or as you work through you can. So they figured out a way to give you the cover or legendary Pokemon right away without actually giving you the legendary Pokemon right away. And obviously you're going to use it to get around the open world aspect. Instead of just giving you a bike or something, they kind of tied it into the Pokemon theme. So at least I would say it's clever. All right, I'm finally there. The treasure hunt has started, which essentially is, hey, the tutorial has ended. Go out into the open world. And they just sent a bunch of students out into the world, I guess to learn independently is how they were saying. Anyway, they also marked a bunch of stuff on my map, as there are 3 different storylines that they're trying to put out there for the open world aspect. They have the gyms, which you can just go to whatever gym you want. We'll see how that turns out when it comes to the levels and how strong each one is compared to what I would have at the time. They also have Titans that are guarding different ingredients or things that would be needed to make, I guess, food. And then the other one has to do with Team Star. It's Operation Starfall. You're going around and fighting bosses for each area. I think there's like 4 or 5 of those. So they do have a bunch of points of interest here that are at least marked, and they said you can just go do whatever you want. And I assume there are also probably hidden parts in the world to come across as well. I'm looking over here right away, and there is a gym badge for Bug. It does mention this is probably where you want to go first. So, you know what? We will go try to get a gym badge first. You know, just sort of wandering around here in the open world. The concept is good. I think the idea of an open world Pokemon game would be very, very compelling to a lot of people. The issue we run into, obviously, is that when they start to really stretch to an open world like this, you get visuals that aren't great. You have a lot of pop-in frame rate issues, and it's noticeable. I mean, you can feel the game chugging along with stutters. At times, the game will just kind of stop for half a second, where I feel like it's trying to catch up. And it's unfortunate because I think they have an idea here where, yes, they are doing the Ubisoft system where they're just throwing a bunch of waypoints on a map and say, go explore and see what you think. But that's kind of the way it works with open world games. They're thinking you're going to create your own storyline, essentially. And for a lot of people, that's sort of what they want with Pokemon now, is the idea to be able to go on their own Pokemon adventure. Also, I like that you can be exploring all over the place. You go up the mountains, come back down here, then you just sort of wander into town, and it's mostly seamless to then enter into town and kind of take a look around what's going on in here. We have the gym right there, and yeah, the Poke Center and, I guess, shops that are mostly menus. But the fact that it all does indeed feel like a true open world, it's pretty cool. Which is why I think it is such a shame with the performance issues that this game has that are so evident from the moment you turn it on, that a lot of what Game Freak is at least attempting here for, let's face it, a franchise that they don't have to do any of this. They can just continue along, and people seem to just buy it as it is. 15, 20, 25 million copies sold, no questions asked, if they just stuck with the typical tried and true formula. But at least trying this is making me a bit more interested, unfortunately, in the future of Pokemon, because this is going to need some work. That said, the game has not crashed, and I haven't run into anything that's halted my progress completely in the story, or it's bugged out to where I can't do anything in the game. So it technically functions. It's just not the best presentation and experience when it's in motion. I had to do something called an olive roll in order to get a shot at the gym badge. So you have to get the ball over various obstacles, then push it into the goal to clear the course. Oh wow, I am really just pushing a big olive through an obstacle course. Wow, the new Pokemon games are something else. Also, the pop-in, pretty bad. I mean, I was making fun of Sonic for pop-in, but like if we just go down this road right here into town, you'll see on your right just people popping in pretty much all over the place here. So, yeah, again, come on, Game Freak. Apparently, I just had to push that olive into the basket to get to the gym leader. They're taking me to her now. Generally, there were either a bunch of, like, sub-trainer or apprentices that you have to go through, or some weird and obtuse and unnecessary puzzle that was just part of the gym. No, I just spent 20-some-odd seconds pushing a very large olive across an obstacle course for some reason. But I guess it's kind of streamlined this way. See, this is pretty cool. She has, Teddy Ursa used the terrestrialized ball, and it turned into, like, a grass type. Now I have Fuecoco doing terrestrialization, and it's got a chandelier on its head, and it's just mayhem here. So, like, this actually looks pretty cool in motion with this battle. But Fuecoco, of course, comes out on top. It got a little dicey there, actually. The Fury Cutter's got a critical hit, knocked Fuecoco out, and I do the thing where you switch Pokemon around and revive and Super Potion just to make sure they're ready to go, and then get that last Ember in. But there we go. Got the first gym badge here. Took about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Yeah, 2.5 hours to go from the beginning of the game, the tutorial, wandering around the open world, and then eventually getting the first badge. So, my thoughts so far on the game. Technically speaking, the game is rough. It's really bad. It's rough to really bad to Game Freak. Should be kind of embarrassed as to the state of the game with how they've released it here. Just walking around in the world, even in the beginning, you'll feel the frame rate issues. And I think you can still have fun with the game and look past all of that, especially if you don't really care as much about maybe aliasing around characters, no voice acting, the visuals, especially when it comes to the texture work being pretty flat to bland. If you're just looking for that next level Pokemon idea in the form of a game like this, yeah, I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. I do. But I I think with the kind of sales that they expect for Game Freak, the Pokemon Company, Creatures, Nintendo, there should be a sense of quality that comes along with the product that you release. And I'm not sure how they fix that going forward, whether they bring on more people, they extend the overall development cycle, just something. Because if this game ran decent, I mean, we're talking like Sword and Shield level, I think there would be a much warmer reception around this game because of what Game Freak is trying to do with the Pokemon franchise and actually push it forward with a new idea. So that's kind of my thoughts on it so far. Obviously, being 2.5 hours into a game that some people will spend hundreds in is just scratching the surface here, especially with the other storylines, whether I'm looking for the Titans or trying to take down Team Star. I'm at least curious to continue exploring the world, even with some of the technical difficulties that we have now. And I'm hopeful that Game Freak does work to fix this with a patch, but I guess we'll see going forward. Thanks, guys, for watching. Let me know what you think about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet so far, if you've had a chance to pick it up. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.